take a chair? Any chair? Where we go? Here, there, anywhere?
Oh my God. Hey guys, good to see you all. Hey.
I'm super excited. I have to admit, I'm super excited because I have a history degree. I read Nelson. I read the prose edit. I had a paper published on Viking anthropology. I even wrote like runes on my Swedish motorcycle and named it Gungnir. Like I'm super jacked to be on stage with you guys. Are you all super jacked that they're here?
I love you guys. This is mental. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for coming. Wow.
We already have a huge line of questions over by Jenny. I'm sorry, Jennifer, I'm sorry. You have my sister's name and I keep forgetting. Right over here in the side, on our left side, your right side, we've already got our first question. I can see you in the dark because I eat a lot of carrots. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi you guys.
Hey,
First of all,
hey.
it's so amazing to see all of you here. I love you guys. I love Vikings. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Dankeschön.
First of all, before I ask my question, major spoiler warning to anyone who hasn't seen the show yet, you should definitely come.
Close your ears.
Okay, so I love the show. It's full of action-packed scenes and epic scenes, and the ones I always keep rewatching are Ragnar's death, plus Odin delivering the message and the Vikings getting their revenge. And the second scene I always rewatch is Björn's final battle. So I was wondering, which of these scenes or plots do you think is more epic? And is there any other scene or plot that you think is also as epic as them, or maybe even more?
I mean, does it get more epic than...
I mean, that's a great question, man. I think that Michael, our writer, did so right by Bjorn's ending. I mean, it was truly, truly epic and phenomenal. I couldn't ask for a greater way to go out. However, I think that so much of the show was built on the shoulders of the real OGs. Like Gustav and Ragnar and Clive, and I think that. When you see one of the originals, the true originals, die, it's so heartbreaking. I think that even for myself as a fan, it's like, well, where do we go from here? Like, what do you do? So I think when everybody teamed up and got revenge, there was something so truly epic about that that I couldn't put into words. So I think as a fan, I would say that the revenge thing was really, really a cool thing to be a part of. Like, I remember we filmed in Children's Woods, and it was freezing cold with Ayla when we blood eagle King Ayla, and there was something, even though it was such a hard day to film, because it was literally, we were freezing and shivering and FaceTiming Travis going like, oh, we hate you so much right now.
Fuck you, Travis, fuck you.
But that Blood Eagle scene to me was really special, the film, yeah.
It was also nice to bring, the whole family together. There's nothing like, a great death that brings the whole family together for a bloodbath. So that's great. We really enjoyed that quality family time together. It was great.
If you haven't noticed yet, Alex is very similar to his character, Austin.
I'm not gonna crawl, not yet.
Lady baby. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My favorite is when Rolo comes in and does the bow and then Gisela just busts out. That's my favorite. I'm sorry. That's the best. Go ahead.
Hey everyone, first of all, thank you so much for coming. I love all of you, I love all of your characters, you're amazing.
Thank you.
This question is specifically for Gustav. I think we can all agree that your portrayal of the character of Loki is very iconic, and there's one specific thing that makes it the most iconic. So for the sake of this convention, could you do the little chuckle of Loki?
I don't think he's ever been asked that before.
I've been asked that many times. And usually my answer is, you haven't paid for it. That's like me in costume doing my acting thing. That's a different pay rate. But yeah, I can give it a try. It's been a while.
Oh, I miss hearing that.
He's in there somewhere, in my heart. Oh, Philippine.
Hell yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, are you crying? I looked like he was crying. I was like, wow. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Donna, and this is my friend Jansu. Hi. I hope you're having a great time in Dortmund. And I have two questions, one for me and one for my friend, because she's too shy to ask for herself. My first question is, besides your character, which character would you have liked to play? And what was one of your favorite moments off set, together as a cast?
There's somebody else that you'd like to play, and what was your favorite offset?
Why don't you start, Georgia?
Well, who else would I want to play? But probably Agatha. I mean, like, she's very.
I want to play Lagatha.
Great
I want to
costume.
play Lagatha. I want to play Lagatha.
Great costumes, great scenes.
It never ages.
Generally,
Does it?
It's amazing.
generally very badass. I think probably I would say Agatha. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good choice. Good choice. I love Floki, obviously. I'm a fan favorite of Floki. I won't give it a try because you're the best one for, like, iconic, like this, as they said before. But I fell in love with your character within the first minutes.
I dare you to try it.
I can't.
Clark, who would you be?
I have a big affinity with Athelwolf. I asked this yesterday. And
Bullshit, you want to be Ragnar. I've always wanted to be Ragnar.
Rather wanted to be Ragnar. But just the way I look at it, it's been an amazing journey. It's about if I was to do it again, I'm a big history nut, so I'd like to try and play the Saxon. They've got a show coming out called Valhalla, which starts in February on Netflix. And that goes 100 years into the future. So there's a load more characters out there that are exciting than the ones we play. Leif Erikson, for one. So I'm excited to see that too.
But let's be honest. Oh my god. Is it gonna be as good as the last? I don't know.
We can hope so.
I'll watch it.
With that, who would you play?
Oh, no, I was always very fascinated with the Rollo character. I think it's such an interesting character and it's so conflicted. I always find that interesting as an actor. And actually also the Ivor character. It's always fun to explore that, sometimes less sympathetic sides of being human as well. That's also part of us,
Sure.
Yeah. Cool. Did we miss anything? I don't think you didn't say we would play.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that with what Gustav said in terms of what I love about Vikings, and I felt like a lot of us tried to bring that out as much as we could, is that there is nobody who was a caricature and nobody was just perfect. All the characters were flawed. I love Ragnar's character. I think the idea that I could play another character it seems impossible to me, simply that because everyone I think did such an incredible job of what they did. But I love Ragnar's character because he is a pagan who isn't necessarily believing in his religion anymore, and I thought that was really fascinating. And then of course I do think Ivar's character is such an interesting character as well. Like, what would it be like to be a crippled Viking? But I mean, honestly, every character is really, really thought out, and that's such a tribute to our writer Michael, but also to how open he was to collaboration, because every single actor brought so much to the table. It got to a point where he would sit down with us and go, okay, you know your characters better than I know them now, so what do you think? And I think everybody was able to have their own input, which is why they felt so specific to the person playing it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We love you guys.
Thank you. We love you too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I think that's one of the cool things that I think the series is it's not exactly historically accurate, but also, you know, these characters didn't exist at the same time, but it is historically accurate, and, you know, the Vikings prayed to Jesus on land and Thor on the water, you know, things like that. I think it's really cool. Go ahead.
Hi, how are you doing? Are you having fun?
Great, yeah, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm nervous.
Why are you nervous?
We're all good, we're all good.
Yes, you are staring at me.
Well, you're gonna ask us some questions. Well, not me, but them. You're gonna ask them questions.
We get nervous too, you know? We get nervous too.
Really?
Yeah, not Alexander, he's a beast, but we get nervous. Us humans get nervous.
So,
You want me to watch your video?
what?
I'm kidding.
My question is, what was like the most difficult scene to shoot where you're not like in the physical way, but also like you're, oh wow, this is going to be fun.
For me, it was the death of Helga. For obvious reasons that it was very emotional. I find her, she's been stabbed and she's bleeding out, and I take her in my arms and I'm crying over her as she's dying. But at the same time, on set we had what they call a running lunch, which means that they didn't break for lunch, so people were eating while we were shooting. So it's the whole corridor we shot in the studio smelled of curry. And people were, and I was starving myself because I hadn't eaten yet, because I was working. I was crying over my dying wife. And I'm there, and I really have to force myself to not start getting annoyed by the fact that people are eating curry around me and try to stay in the scene. That was challenging.
For me, it was the scene I did with Alex in the rain, the fight.
Oh, that was
Because fight scenes are usually my favourite, and it's a very different way of acting. Because you know when you're doing the choreography of a fight, you kind of almost have to be 2 steps ahead of yourself because you need to know the choreography. Whereas when you're acting, you have to be completely in the moment. But that fight had so many more layers on it. I mean, it's, you know, and then obviously there's all the extras that kind of like they were trying to add something to it. Alex and I are trying to stay in the storyline because there's a big story going on.
I think you puked too.
Yeah.
It was so heavy, the clothes were just filled with sand, it was so wet. But and you filmed those scenes for like, what, we filmed that for like 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah. And it was made extra special with the director as well, Helen Shaver. She really got out in the rain with us, and she wanted to be a part of it. She really made us butch up and make it the scene it is today. But that was tough. And so guys just found out that he thinks he's responsible for the death of Siggy. He's going through all of these emotions, and he wants to be knocked out. It's a kind of form of physical. It's like self-harm. He doesn't want to feel the mental pain, so he wants to feel physical pain. He wants his own son. Nephew, son, to knock you out, so he can't feel anything anymore. You know, that was a tough scene to kind of have almost tears on the verge, but then still have that anger and strength. It was a tough day. So much fun.
I think for me, sorry,
No, ladies first.
I'm not taking this away from anyone that's actually given birth, because I'm sure that's much harder than pretending. But the pretending was very strenuous. 8 hours. They strapped this really, real heavy prosthetic belly on me, which was really exciting at first because I could eat chips and like 2 lunches. But I actually literally was pushing for 8 hours. Jordan, who plays Uma, was extremely traumatized by the whole thing. Really felt unwell. So probably that was the hardest, to make it seem real. As I said, I've never given birth.
Did you follow through?
There were moments I was unsure about if that would happen. Thankfully it didn't. So yes, that was physically very challenging, but a good time. And I look forward to the real version. I'll be more prepared, I think.
Yeah, practice run.
Listen.
I've had a few tough days on set. It's tough every single time you're not able to just walk. If I wasn't tied together, I was wearing calibers that was like 25 kilograms. So it was, every single day was tough, but you know, that's also when it gets fun. But I remember one day in October in Ireland, we're shooting the Battle of York, and Ira is a dumbass who wants to get down on the battlefield, which is stupid when you can't walk. So, you know, but he gets down there anyway, and, you know, I get up to the chariot, and I get knocked off, crawl to the chariot, and then you know, yell Icelandic for 10 hours straight with blood on my face and pouring rain and all that sort of stuff. And that was, it was fun, but it was a tough day. And I remember leaving the set that day and thinking, what the fuck am I doing for a living? But it was a fun day. Every single time is a challenge. That's when it gets really fun. Yeah.
Tough day. We missed it. My tough day.
Where's your tough day? Are you?
I told you Tom's story.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the show that I think bonded us so much was that, at least for me, like, yeah, there's days that stick out, like Childers Woods with the Blood Eagle of King Ayla. That was so cold, like, and I can't explain it. It's like if you've ever put your hand on metal in the freezing cold. It's like my hands felt like I thought for sure I'd get frostbite. The heaters, there was one heater that we would keep running to in this like
We were all sitting like
and it was
this.
like raining and snowing, and it's just like wet and cold. We were all like, it was literally, that's what we were doing. And we did that for like 12 hours. And I think what bonded us so much on this show was that our cast and our crew were going through it together, that there wasn't just one day that stuck out. Like Ireland was cold and wet, but like we all were so connected because we were making something we were proud of. Like if we were doing a scene in the ocean, like on a ship, like we were in the ocean on a ship. And if it started raining, we'd hide under our shields with all the other actors and all the other extras, and you'd be, you know, they'd be smoking cigarettes underneath their shield and waiting till we go again, or if you have to, you know, oh yeah, yeah, or some of them were stoners, but you'd be like, it started pouring rain, and then if you had to go to the bathroom, you had to hop on a boat and they'd take you to the nearest island, because we were literally in the middle of, like, that doesn't happen on film and television, and you couldn't. There was no room for anybody to be a diva. So it was like we all bonded on just the fact that we were all in it together. And it was one of those incredible experiences that I don't think we'll ever have again. Nothing like that.
We literally became one big family. And that's the one thing that I miss the most. Out of everything. It's the family.
Being cuddled up next to me.
Exactly. On a cold October night. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a question for Alex. It seems like a lot of people find it increasingly difficult to separate actors from a role they're playing these days, especially in TV series. And as your portrayal of Ivan is very, very convincing, is that something that you faced? And how do you respond to it? What do you say to people who can't make that separation? I mean, these people get a lot of hate online.
Oh, I absolutely get what you're saying. Yes, you know, I hear that once in a while. The joke that I got the most on set and afterwards is, oh, he's walking, it's a miracle. And I cannot tell you guys how many times I've heard that exact line. And now I'll start using it myself. You know, just to get in advance. And it's a thing, it's a thing. It's been interesting to me to realize how attached people get to a character and the universe and just the, you know, Vikings in general. Because I've had people come up to me and say like, I kind of fucking hate you. And they're like, they really want to ask for a picture, but they are afraid to get close. And that's a weird, tough situation. So I just grab them real tight and hold them, and I whisper in their ear, "Be afraid." And then they run, and we never get the chance to take a picture. But no, it's an interesting question. I mean, it's we are actors, we are pretending for a living. And people really have to remember that, because especially online, people can be trolling and furious.
Yeah, but like, screw those people, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like, obviously, if you hate Ivar at times, it's because Alex is a great actor. And if you love him at times, it's because he's a great actor and it's a really well-written character. And if he doesn't get that, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
No, hey, I kind of appreciate the hate because it kind of maybe tells me that I did a good job, right? So that's basically what it is. But in all honesty, people have been incredibly nice. I've not had a lot of negative encounters, I have to say. And that has actually surprised me because you hear all this stuff when you get exposed, all these people and stalkers and yada yada yada. It has been a walk in the park, and I have to thank, and I think we all agree to that, thank all of you guys for being the fucking best fans in the world.
yeah, we wouldn't be here without you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Go ahead. Hey.
Hello,
Into the microphone, please.
I have a question for Alex. I'm a little present for him. I hope that you take it. But the Christmas is around us in this moment of this month. Because I don't know if they take it or not.
I couldn't hear what you were saying, sorry.
He has a gift for you and he doesn't know if he'll take it or not.
Of course I can.
I think that, yeah. Thank you. I bet you it's a copy of Clive's new graphic novel.
I hope it's a dildo. No, I hope it's a,
We're gonna open it. It's too early, I have to wait.
Can I open it, or should I open it? Or,
Yes, you can open it.
because I'm panicking. It's a bomb! Okay, nice. It's cookies. Nice. I appreciate that.
You guys have some amazing sweets out here. I tried what they call Mozart chocolates. Is that what they're called? Is that what they are? Those little balls with Nutella and the
Chocolate here is amazing.
They're incredible. One of the best sweets I've ever tasted. And there's biscuits up there. Oh, you guys know these sweets.
Hi guys.
Hi.
My question is for Alexander. I think you have an amazing singing voice. Would you mind singing a few lines from one of your songs?
Yes?
It's so funny you say that because I was just talking to Alexander before, being like, it must be so hard being a singer. People must just tell you to switch it on there and then. So it's just happened, you know?
I'm surprised nobody asked Alex to sing. You did maybe start already.
Probably wind up in some sunset time, stumbling about with regular crowd, wearing some old jukebox out, yeah, shooting them down.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I've met you before.
If you can change the end of your character, what would you do?
Ooh, you could change the end of your character.
I don't know how my character ended.
I'm really satisfied with my ending. I loved it. I loved to show that he was a human and not a damn god. You know, we've been yelling that quite a bit. I was tired of that. But no, I wouldn't change a thing. I'm actually pretty satisfied with it. Yeah, I would kind of love when I watched Alexander's death scene. I remember being on the chariot and I would be like, fuck, I want that to be me, man. I was so jealous. But you know, different characters and different times.
At least you got to die.
At least I got to die, that's true.
I would have probably liked to have just maybe died. just to see what it was like. You know, I kept trying to, you know, suggest possible endings. I think one of them, I suggested if I had been eaten, that one wasn't taken up. Yeah, I tried a few, you know, and alternatively, if it wasn't dying, maybe just to see, did Torvi and Uber get like a nice like 2-bedroom house, like how would that have looked? Or like, you know, an adventure to Hawaii perhaps.
I could believe that. I mean, there's a lot of timber in Northern Canada.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I was really happy with the ending because I got to close the whole show on that beach. And I thought that was so beautiful. So I was really happy that I came back to just be a part of that whole ending because I was there from the start. And I was grateful for that.
And in all seriousness as well, we didn't see what happened to Rollo, but in history there is some documentation about his last days, and I just think it would have been nice. That's how I imagine he died. It would have been nice to see. But apparently on the week of his death, he got very, very ill and died of old age. And apparently he lined up 100 Christians. So he lined up 100 Christians in front of the town square and had them all sacrificed. And at the same time, gave 100 pounds in weight to the church, the Christian church. So he was still, Rollo, hedging his bets right until the very end.
I love that. That's so good.
Now we missed out on that one.
That's really cool. I love that ending. Like some of these, he's always been a pagan, but he's still hedging his bets.
And I wanted it with like see Ivar, you know, when I do that deal and I give him loads of Frankish men, and I take a lot of money back, I take a lot of gold and silver back, and I really wanted that to be it. He takes this money and he gives it to Christian churches, and in private, while he's actually in Kattegat still, he lines up a load of his own men and just has them all killed. That's what I wanted. But the show is called Vikings. It's not called Frankie.
I honestly, I couldn't change a thing about the way Bjorn went out. I think it was such a great ending for that character.
Cool. Thank you. Well, we're getting feedback here.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question. I just want to know. I have my opinion. I want to know yours. For you, Bjorn is the son of Ragnar or of Ragnar?
I've always thought that he was the son of Ragnar, but I also think that I love that was a part of it. Maybe I always believe that because, I mean, he says that, right? He's like, we toy with the idea of what actually makes the son. I mean, sure, biologically he could possibly be from either, and I don't know if I ever got that far into the character because I think in Bjorn's mind it didn't matter because spiritually and in his heart he believes that he was raised by that man and that is the legacy he's trying to carry on. But biologically, I have no idea.
Yeah, there was no paternity tests back then, but I think the message is great. It's like anyone could be a father. It takes a true, strong man to be a dad. And Rollo wasn't his dad, he may have been his father.
Yeah.
Hi, my question is for Alex. Does Ivar have a real physical problem that doesn't allow him to satisfy a woman, or is it just in his attitude?
That's just Alex.
That's where Alex.
What's the definition of boneless?
Keep going.
So, because I think that part of his body has nothing to do with his disease, or am I wrong? What is the problem? Is it in his head, or is he punishing himself for some reason?
Let me get this.
He can't get an erection, right?
Explain it to us.
So now obviously he suffers from brittle bone disease, or what's in Latin called osteogenesis imperfecta. And it's a horrible disease, but it does not affect the penis. Exactly. So there you have it. But what's interesting in that regard is the penis works if the brain works, right? If you're not comfortable, if you're not happy, if you're not excited, if you don't love yourself, you're not gonna get it up, right? And that's really what it was about. You know, he's had trouble with himself for his entire life, and that's what that whole thing is about. There's nothing to do with sex. There's nothing to do with that at all. The interesting part is that it's just a reflection of who he is as a person, who he is as a human being, struggling to find himself and be comfortable with himself and accept himself for who he really is. That's what it's about, and that's interesting.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you said it much more.
Oh, I got through that one.
Go ahead.
Okay, so hello. First of all, I want to thank all of you for an amazing show. It was so awesome and I enjoyed every episode of it.
Thank you for watching.
And my question is, if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you guys go?
Sorry, in Viking days?
No, in the real world.
I've always loved Africa. Which is ironic because I always wish that we got to do more here in Africa anyways. But I'd love to go back there and just explore more of that continent.
Yeah. I was in Kenya last year. Everyone go there. It's beautiful. The people are beautiful. It's amazing. I want to go to South America more, actually. I want to go hiking as well. There are so many places I want to visit as well. Oh, it's a tough question. Germany's great too. Have you been there? It's awesome.
I'd say I really want to go to Brazil. I really, really want to visit Brazil and desperate to go to India. So yeah, I do actually a lot of travel stuff on my social media, so I'm hoping to do some exciting trips next year. Cool.
I've been to a lot of places, but I've always dreamt of going to the Kamchatka Peninsula in southern Siberia, where it's like this crazy volcanic peninsula with like bears and volcanoes and glaciers and yeah, I think that kind of thing.
I love my scuba diving. I love the ocean, so I suppose I'd love to go to the Galapagos Islands and scuba dive with the hammerhead sharks and get in the water and do all that. That would be the most achievable place. South America as well, I think so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think Katniss has the last question.
Yes, that's true.
No pressure.
I personally do horseback riding, archery, and historic reenactment. So if you
So you're
share
a
any, yeah, a little bit. If you want to share any funny story experience about that on set, that would be awesome. But I was told we were running out of time. So my main question is, what do you think the Viking era, which was very unique and different from the rest of Europe back at that time, which impression or what kind of heritage do we have nowadays from it? Like, do you look at it and say it was a unique culture, it was very different from anything else we had in Europe, and how would you define that? What do we have? What's left of them, basically?
So you're asking like,
Yeah,
is there any
Scandinavia.
influence of now?
Yeah.
You have Scandinavia, it's still up there.
Yeah, I think, but I'd also say that I think that there's a lot of things, like, I always ask myself, like, what made the show so successful? Like, yeah, it was the writing, yeah, it was the acting, it was a lot of things, but I also think what was so special about it was, deep down, I think that we all have this kind of tribal craving to explore nature and spirituality in a way that we're not right now, and protecting those places that are so dear to us, you know, not to mention the fact that so long ago, I mean, if you look at the Viking culture, there was a lot of things that perhaps we'd see now and go, okay, but that wasn't right, but there was a lot of things that they did get right back then. I mean, look at how they treated their women, look at that, it's just incredible, like, how advanced they were in so many ways, and how connected they were with the earth. So I think that's why the show kind of became what it was, and you know, every once in a while I'll see aspects of that, and you know, if I go to Stockholm, for example, or I see Gustav and the way that they live in a lot of places in Scandinavia, it very much is alive there, and I see it in elements all over the world, but I would certainly think that we could use more of that, that's for sure.
Yeah, like the Viking women could divorce, like, how crazy
I was
is
going to
that?
obviously say that they were a lot more equal. Women were just as important as men, and there's really no differentiation between the two. So they had it the right way, I think.
Jenna has a question.
Before you leave the stage, can I take a picture with you and the people here in the
I think so, yeah. For the Comic-Con, yeah.
If you promise to send it
Yeah,
to
if you
me.
guys are okay with that too.
Are you guys okay with that? I think so. And before we leave, we're gonna give shout outs, right? Vikings.
Yeah?
So Vikecast is our podcast devoted to you guys. Amy Bailey and ourselves, we were a bit bored over the lockdown, and we just thought, wouldn't it be great now that the show is finished and all the characters are ended up in Valhalla, or some of them didn't make it. It'd be great to actually tell the real story of the filming, behind the scenes, and get you guys involved. You can go on to Vikecast Official on Instagram, send in your questions, and we'll try and ask every single cast member. But since we started doing it, we've realised that it's not just about Vikecast. There's so many celebrity fans of the show. We've got hopefully Tyson Fury coming on, we've got some NASCAR drivers, Adriana Lima is a massive fan, but they're coming on talking about how much they love the show. We've also got honorary Vikings, people that go out every day for charity or just live, stand up in the face of adversity. I want to get Greta on, she'd be great, Greta Thunberg, it would be amazing, she's a true Viking. So we're just going to get people on and just talk about Vikings, but it is for you guys. We want to give you a show where you can all geek out. Just like Comic-Con is a place where we can all geek out about the stuff that we love. We want Vikecast to be somewhere where we can have a safe place to just geek out and be a Viking. Woo! And I just got one little shout out as well. I have, just because we're at a Comic-Con, I've written a graphic novel called American Carnage. So if any of you guys are interested, come and talk to me in my booth. There's a little QR code going around everywhere. You can go to AmericanCarnageNovel.com. And I'm going to give the first 100 copies out to you guys. If you get one online, signed copy with a limited edition cover. And I'll give you a Roller t-shirt.
Only 3 watches. So thank you, Jenna. Are you ready for the photo?
Hey.
Jenna? Are you ready? Jenna, official photographer. How do you want to do it? Everybody standing here with the crowd in the background? And I'll get out of the way?